Shalom and welcome to this episode of Ask Aviel. My name is Aviel. It is my pleasure to share with you what I have discovered in my walk so that we can learn and grow together. Psalm 73:26 says, "My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever." This psalm was written by Asaph. He recognized his own weakness and the strength of God. God's strength is enduring. We have a privileged status because God is our share and inheritance in life. It is like saying, God is the rock of my heart. Being strong means not faint or feeble, having greater than average or expected power, having force or authority, being immune to attack. When one is strong, they are incapable of being affected. They have good quality and condition, being solidly built. And lastly, having more than adequate force or confidence. There are many unknowns in this life. When we do not know what tomorrow will hold for us, we may feel scared or uncertain. Our hearts feel weak, we don't feel strong, and we don't have courage to face the next challenge in life. How can the scriptures, talking about a people of a different culture, location, and language, about 5,000 to 6,000 years old, give us guidance and strength for today, in this age? Is it even relevant to us? Is the Bible enough proof that we can go through difficult times and make it through to the other side with God as our guide? Let's talk about Job. Job had everything he wanted. He had a good family, a good reputation, and plenty of wealth. But then, Satan went to God and asked for permission to change Job's good life. Then tragedy struck, and Job lost everything. His 7 sons and 3 daughters, his riches, his animal livestock, his crops, his health, and even the relationship of his wife and friends. And what did Job do? Satan expected that Job would curse God, but he didn't. Job instead praised the name and the character of God. Job got up and tore his robe and shaved his head. Then he fell to the ground in worship and said, "Naked I come from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised." Job 1:20-21. Through it all, Job struggled with his suffering. He even asked God, "Does it make you happy to oppress me while you smile on the plans of the wicked?" Job 10:3. It is okay to have conversations with God and ask Him the reasons for why something is happening. God is big enough to handle all our questions and emotions. Moses struggled with low self-esteem. He did not believe that he could deliver his people from Egypt and the oppression of slavery. After all, the Hebrew people had already been oppressed for about 200 years, not just 2 years. Moses ran into hiding in the wilderness until God appeared to him at the burning bush and called him to deliver the Hebrew people from Egypt. With God's help, Moses successfully led his people out of Egypt, free of bondage. But then, there were many problems along the way. There was no water to drink, no food to eat. God was testing Moses and the people to see how they would trust the hand of God to provide. What did Moses do when he was discouraged? He turned to God for help in his struggle, and God delivered. God always supplied plenty of food and water in the wilderness of the desert. David was chosen by God and anointed to be king of all Israel. But he was hunted and tormented by King Saul, who was jealous of him. King Saul chased David for many years, trying to kill him. David was constantly running and hiding, living in caves and surviving on whatever food his men could find. Sometimes there were people who were loyal to him and supplied him with sustenance. Many times, David had the chance to kill Saul, but he didn't because his heart was good. In the end, Saul committed suicide with his own sword when he was severely wounded in battle. David wrote many of the Psalms crying to God about his struggles. Psalm 142, 1-2 says, I cry aloud to the Lord. I lift up my voice to the Lord for mercy. I pour out before him my complaint. Before him I tell my trouble. Like you and me, King David struggled with his faith, but notice that he concludes every psalm on a positive note, praising God and giving him glory. In Mark 14, verses 26-31, Simon Peter talked about how he would always be loyal to Yeshua and never deny Yeshua. Peter said, even if all fall away, I will not. And even if I have to die with you, I will never disown you. And yet, when the crunch time came, Peter denied Yeshua 3 times at his trial before the Sanhedrin. After Peter had denied Yeshua the 3rd time, he heard the rooster crow. Then Peter broke down and wept. Mark 14:72. Peter felt unworthy to be a disciple and a follower of Yeshua, and he returned to his old life as a fisherman. Imagine, Simon Peter was the one who did what no man ever did. Simon Peter was the one who walked on water. Simon Peter was the one whose hand Yeshua caught as he sank into the sea. The good news was that Yeshua restored Peter by giving him a task to do, to feed my lambs, to take care of my sheep, to feed my sheep. So, how do we find strength for our hearts when we feel weak? There is strength, comfort, and guidance in God's presence, especially during challenging times. Here is the secret. When Israel was wandering in the wilderness, they were led by the pillar of cloud by day and the pillar of fire by night. Sometimes the pillar of cloud would stop, and the people knew that it was time to stop traveling and set up camp. They camped around the tabernacle in the middle. The tabernacle was a huge tent, and the presence of God dwelt in that tent. The camp of Israel always set up their camps in a formation, facing the tabernacle every single day. They could not change their positions. There was order. Every tent faced the tabernacle. No tribe or clan or family could set up their tent anywhere they wanted, facing whatever direction they wanted. They could not say that there was not enough sun and change direction to face the sun. They could not say that it was too windy and face a different direction. What does that mean? It means that every morning when the people woke up and went to their doorstep, the tabernacle was right there in front of their faces. They encountered God every day. We also must wake up and encounter God every day. The presence of God was strong when the people faced the right direction. James 4:8 says, "Draw near to God, and He will draw near to you." Deuteronomy 5:4, "May the Lord speak to us face to face as He spoke to Israel at the mountain from the midst of the fire." When things are tough, are we going to run away, or are we going to be like Job, Moses, David, and Simon Peter? Let us step up to the challenge and opportunity that God is giving to us. Rise up to the challenge. Don't take the easy path. There is always a choice that is before us. When things are most difficult, God extracts the most out of what is inside us. God stretches our ability, responsibility, and our accountability. We have an identity. We have a purpose. We are strong. Let us use everything we have. Let God have this vessel to work with passion, dedication, and persistence. make sure that we are a set-apart people. We need to rise, to take our place and be a light to the nations. Let God be the strength of our heart and our portion forever. If everyone is packing up their bags and leaving, who is left to shine their light? Are we going to allow darkness to take over? Let us get the light burning bright again. Let us be awake to the spiritual world and be more aware of God. Tell God, I trust you. I trust your plan in my life. Every time challenges come, every time it gets a little bit hot and we get a little bit uncomfortable, let us remember Psalm 73:26. My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. Hope is very important for us to have. Hope is powerful. Hope gives endurance and perseverance through suffering, because we know that a great reward is on the way, and that reward is that God becomes the strength of my heart. Thank you for joining me. I pray that this message inspires and challenges you. God bless you and your family. Shalom.